I got my start with Keller Williams in the summer of 2011. Immediately after graduating from the University of Maryland College Park. And yes, the Preferred Properties Market Center had an internship program going on how to be the assistant to a real estate agent. So I took that summer internship program with the expectation that by August, I'd be going to St. Louis to attend air traffic control school. Right, I was a recent college graduate. Just the way that the air traffic control system set up, camp or training doesn't start till August, right? So needed something to do. I'd actually met that OP, Mr. Emmerich Peace. I used to tutor his son. My senior year of college, I tutored his son a senior in high school as I had a tutoring business. Being a senior at the University of Maryland, so I tutored math, high school math, and college math up to Cal 3. So it was that Emmerich who asked, "Hey, have you ever considered a career in real estate?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't," but I know the whole time he owns a real estate franchise, and go figure. So yeah, I got licensed October 2011. Immediately started doing the things you guys are doing now. Go to every class. I didn't have any business at the time to start, right? So got my first buyer's consult set up 2 months later. Actually, sisters who were renting, and by May they needed to both buy individually. Good 2 for 1. Right? Cool Zillow lead that came in. Right, not bad. So you'll see some duplicity in kind of my story. So yeah, they ended up buying 2. My first settlements happened in April 27th of 2012. So I did this about 6 months, actually, 2 settlements on one day. It wasn't both sisters, but one got carried into May. So of my first time settling, one of them I couldn't go to. Emmerich had to go for me because they're actually at the same time. And then since then, it's just been a rapid the idea of production. Now, at the time, it was good production for a solo agent. Now you got Montez McCray coming through, right? Who just rewrites the definition of what it looked like in being new and getting started. So did 40 units my first full year in the business. We went out to build the team. With Emmerich, we were doing about 125, 30 houses per year in the Southern Maryland, Washington, D.C. Areas. 2017, got to be the team leader of the market center and experienced fantastic opportunities there. But really, it was my transition from agent to team leader that made kind of, I guess, the most, and kind of connected back to my tutoring background, like apparent, like why I got into real estate. It wasn't to sell houses. I had a business, we're selling over 100 houses a year, cool. But I got kind of that idea that I have a greater application to, hey, how can I help connect with hundreds of agents or thousands of agents or tens of thousands of agents and help them build their version of selling 100 houses per year, whether it's that number more or less. So been in the coaching, training, executive leadership space since then. So when Kim reaches out and says, "Hey, can you come through?" Without a doubt, it's a no-brainer, right? So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you all for being here. There's nothing under the sun that we can't talk about today. Essentially every Keller Williams class I've taken double-digit time. So that's your Bold, your Ignite, what was Recruit Select, then converted to Career Conditioning. Yep, now all those things. So I'm a complete open book on building all those things out. Kim reminded me, I have to say that I needed a reminder, but again, primarily dad brain. If I forget anything, it's dad brain. I do coach my son's youth soccer team, 5 and 6 year olds, and heavily involved in that front as well. So we'll blame it on the kids if I forget anything. But 2 things on the screen. Earlier this year, I did launch a YouTube channel, Realtor Unlocked. So it's a YouTube channel. So Kevin mentioned some of those videos. I taught myself everything about video production, video editing, and everything you did is all self-done. So there's probably the good of it. The bad of it is, I am the producer, the editor, the I want to say challenge. So definitely will be getting more content out as time presents itself on full-length content. I've definitely done some shorts as well in the social media space at Jayson Stone on social media. So that's your Facebook and Instagram. That's videos, content there. And then yes, in the pandemic, I launched a podcast, B&B Realtor Radio, there where I'm interviewing top producers in the area, some Keller Williams, some non-Keller Williams. And primarily because that was released in May of 2020, we got to get into strategies around a shifting market, right? Strategies around that market of uncertainty 2 months into the pandemic. So it's a lot of great content there. I was speaking with Helena earlier, right? This idea of full-time work into full-time real estate. One of the guests on the podcast is episode will talk specifically about making that transition actually someone who was at a different brokerage while she was full-time somewhere else. Recruited her to Keller Williams, and now she's running examples of running a $30 million team. So definitely just some great ways to take me home without me getting in your car physically. Is that you there's the podcast there, there's the videos there, all kinds of ongoing content that you can subscribe to, follow, be able to join going forward. So I do coach real estate agents as well. And one of the things that I don't know, one client, I don't know if he started telling other people, but somehow word got out. They started calling me a script genius, a script god, just a script master, right? I'm like, I don't necessarily subscribe to that other than the fact that, yes, I've spent countless hours looking at scripts, learning them. I spent countless hours practicing them. In fact, my then girlfriend, now wife, will often, once a year, twice a year, kind of joke about when I first took Bold. So I took Bold after being about 4 months into the business, and they give us the script cards or script piece of paper. We went out and made index cards together. That's kind of a story related aside, and I'm hoping that I'm sharing this to whatever your personal journey is, whatever challenges you may have to kind of overcome. Is anybody who's been in the business for more than a year? Imagine, I figured that. Okay, how long? How long have you been in the business? Okay, cool. And everybody else is under a year, right? So, okay, or that one, cool. So, okay, 2.5 weeks, fantastic. Fantastic. So, in the realm of, okay, hey, like figuring out, is this going to be a career piece, right? And certainly probably having no shortage amount of tension or friction to overcome whatever it is. Another full-time job, family responsibilities. I remember I got licensed in October 2011. I was 22 years old. I was so green about real estate. I didn't even know it was a commission-only job. Okay, that's how green I was. So if you knew more than that before you signed up, you're light years ahead of me. Okay. I passed my licensing test in October of 2011, I think October 8th or 9th or 10th. A couple of days later, I'm sitting in a Michael Trickhart training. Some of you may hear that name, you may know it, may not. At the board, I get a text from then girlfriend, now wife, and she said, "We're being evicted." Okay, rent. We were subleasing a spot, and that person we were giving the rent to wasn't kicking it back up to the landlord, right? So not only were they not doing that, but all the mail clearly that goes into their name that they see, they didn't answer, didn't respond to, didn't tell us. So that was kind of my introduction to real estate. Like, congratulations, you're 22 years old, you're a real estate agent, and you don't even have stable living on your own, right? So I took the aside there because I'm now laughing. At the time of starting Bold, I was living with a frat brother of mine out in Silver Spring. And we were doing these index cards. We put these index cards together. What's the objection on the front? And then what's the response on the back? She would quiz me, right? So I'm just saying, like, script master, script genius, whatever you want to call it, like that happens by putting in the time to actually look at it, work at it, practice it. Okay. Such that allowed me to, when I got on the phone, when I got in front of somebody, it just comes out. Okay. Can we all agree that there are words that work? Yeah. And there are words that don't work. Yeah. Right. And if we ever needed it, how's it going? To see that in action, right? We can look at children, right? They know what to say to get what it is that they want. And they know that certain things you say or do, not getting what it is that you want. Well, regardless of what maybe your perspective may be around the utilization of scripts, rigid, doesn't sound like you, what have you, let's just know that there are certain words that work. There's best ways to say things. So I began taking a language of sales course. That was the name of the course. Probably still out right now. Group coaching program. I did. That was big. I always thought myself it's deep. Yeah, it's deep. I mean, you literally got to study it, take it. So, because there's NLP stuff and all that. So, one of the things that helped me the most and exciting we'll figure out how to get this back on and do some screen share. I've got my email address up there because there's some assets that I'm going to share on the screen that if you are interested in receiving those assets, just send me an email and I'll be sure to follow up directly with your inbox with the checklist, the spreadsheet, the script, whatever it is. Okay, so make sure everybody gets that. But one of the things that stuck out the most for me in that conversation is there's two types of people in every conversation. The person who dominates the conversation because they talk the most. Then there's the person who controls the conversation because they ask the most questions. Okay. And in this exchange of us being a supplier of goods and services and to as a receiver of goods and services, we have to be person number two. We have to be the person who is controlling the conversation and let the person from the other side, let them dominate the conversation, particularly on a prospecting standpoint. Because if they're talking, we get to listen. They're talking for a reason. That's a chance to build rapport. Someone's talking, they're doing so, then we can certainly listen and be able to respond in a way that actually starts gaining trust, particularly in things like cold calling, for sell by owners, or even expiring drawn space as well. Okay, so I'm excited to go through some logistical things in that piece as well. But as I was sharing with Cam earlier, regardless of what I came prepared to talk about today, that is secondary at best, because I want to know what's going on in your lives and where you getting stuck, whether there's a particular objection, real play, or particular mindset shift. Like, what is it that we can do to unlock your performance or any maybe bottlenecks you're currently experiencing? And I'm happy to do a great deep dive into that. And I'm also prepared today if we'd like to go over some MLS manipulation and tools and resources as well. Somehow along the way, I've taken studies, I've just learned a lot about the MLS, and I click on all the buttons and I figure out what that button means, what it does, and how to make benefit of it. So if you haven't done some time in that, there's some MLS related things as well. So yes, sir. What's your name and what's your question? Kirby. Well,
I hate rejection.
okay.
So, calling cold call is one like, but how do we shift your mind? Any type of cold call, whether it's fine, the database. How do we shift it? Because listen,
Yeah.
make two calls and get it.
It's done. It's like, oh my goodness, this doesn't work.
You know, I prefer
Yeah.
people who like sit in real estate.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you, Kirby. This will be a parking lot thing we'll touch on today throughout. I'm excited. So does anybody have anything else that would love to add to our parking lot? Yes, sir. What's your name and what's your question? Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, no, honestly, this is real life. All of us experienced people have been through these things here. See mindset things, and because we have a saying here, that phone gets real heavy. Yeah. Especially when you're on the job. Then you encounter a response.
Okay. And what's your name? All right. Guarantee you resolve the portion. Guarantee to go over this stuff. Whatever's bothering you, I guarantee you will not bother you.
So funny you wrote that there. Oh, no. Because so I had, when I was calling kids those inspired, I had a job.
Yeah.
Which made picking up that phone a lot easier because I don't know, where I live with my second room. So I would use my second room remote 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop until I was done with my.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, once I stopped lead genning, so if it wasn't expired heavily, I decided to get rid of my dollar. The only way, why did I say the only way? I was way more consistent with lead gen when I was using my dollar.
Yep.
Because the other thing like this, you don't get to stop because you can hang that phone out and then you can go start working on something else. And like you got distracted.
Yep.
When you have a dial, you load your lip.
Yep.
And it keeps going until you're done with your list.
Yep. That's a good deal. So we'll definitely dig into that. Yes, what's your name?
My name is Addie, and I'm just gonna say, like, I think mine is just confirmed, like. I can really get tongue tied, as soon as I want to say something.
Okay.
Or like, they're gonna hear my voice that I'm nervous.
Thank you.
I mean, really bothering people.
It's not a bad thing, any bother.
We can dive right in. I'll say come up, let me know. We can talk about, guarantee things to work on and overcome. Yeah.
Somebody could not know what. Yeah.
What you say? Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
That's the degree of wrong thing. That's one thing.
Okay.
Legally.
Yes, and what could be, do you have an example? I mean, you kind of already is a.
So that's the promise. Yeah, do that, but I'm not gonna take it. Even though you not be, never be very much. You know.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. All right, we're gonna jump right in. That was supposed to be a straight line. It kind of dips down. Art's never been my thing. Yeah, that's my sister. She's got it. She's a beast. She's a beast. She's a creative director. She's a great graphic designer resume. Meanwhile, I can't even draw a straight line. So, I want to start with the mindset piece and hating rejection. As getting started 100%. I think that was me. And I know that Kirby and I are not alone with that, right? So I have in there in parentheses a deck of cards. Anybody familiar with a deck of cards? A deck of cards, right? Yeah, okay, cool. 52 cards, exactly. Standard deck, we won't include the jokers, we're not playing spades, we just regular deck of cards, 52 in a piece, right? So what does that mean? That's 13 cards of each of the 4 suits. That's how we get 52. Okay. Perfect. What would you do if I came to you, and I used to always carry around deck of cards for this very reason, not just to be prepared to, deal them out, but for this reason of, what would you do if I put a deck of cards in front of you and said, I'm going to give you $10,000 for every ace you turn over? What would you do?
Every ace.
Yeah, for every ace you turn over, I put a deck of cards in front of you, face down. What would you do? You start flipping cards, right? If the first card was a 10 of clubs, would you care? Next club is a 2 of diamonds. Are you upset? Falling card is a jack of hearts. It just cussed you out. Are you going to stop flipping? You're looking for the ace for a couple of reasons. Number one, confidently the deck of cards has what? 4 aces in it, right? All right, you see where you're going? You know that the aces are in it. Number two, with each unsuccessful flip of the card, you're actually increasing the probability that the next card is going to be an ace, mathematically. Exactly. And the other guarantee is if you do not flip a card over, you are guaranteed not to find an ace. Lead generation every day, morning or evening for dual career, whatever you get step into your prospecting time. Think about that deck of cards. No conflict. You're just looking for the aces. It's just a numbers game.
That's your application.
look for the aces. That's it. That's one right there. So, questions, thoughts, comments, concerns there? Yes, Andrew.
In the future, you don't want to say. You don't realize that you're thinking maybe
Yeah, that certainly happens. I guess the only concern where that could be, is if they're on the do not call list, you call them, they tell you they're on do not call list, and then you mistakenly call again. But basically at that point, super violate the do not call list. And then that really only doesn't become a problem unless they go out and escalate it, right? So most people have, I can't say most people because there's always the one super case, and certainly saw enough of them being a team leader. Said, your agent violated do not call list, and they've called, international down in Austin and rerouted to me and all this prevention. So, I mean, just kind of open up the can to a better concept. Definitely if you're doing things like a Mojo, Vulcan 7, I'm very familiar with and love, or any of those kind of, lead information services, they are all required to demonstrate to you to display who's on a do not call list and who's not. And I 100% promote, support, recommend. So on do not call list, just don't call it. Right? It's more efficient to see, from an opportunity standpoint. Yep. Hand up over here. Think so? No? Okay. Yeah, cool. So it's always been my mindset and approach to lead generation. And again, Rudy I shared with my background, very mathematical, get tutored up to Calc 3. And I just love playing cards. So that was kind of the connection that I had coming in to the process and how I kind of able to discover that. Okay. This is supposed to be supposed to be number videos in school or grade school, like how a bill becomes a law.
Oh, yeah.
It's so long time to it, right?
Schoolhouse Rock.
It's well, yeah, that's the name. Yeah, Schoolhouse Rock. Yep. So, when I got licensed, I immediately wanted to find out how does a bill become a law. So I came up with this number line here, essentially similar to the end up being 4 quarters. There's 4 quarters of the real estate transaction. First quarter being and getting to the point with them. Second quarter is holding that up. Third quarter, in the agreement, getting back to a contract, sales contract, listing agreement, to a signed buyer, agency agreement. Then lastly, contract. So these are the 4 quarters of the transactions. 10 hours we can spend on just this. But the relevancy that we bring to this idea of both nerves while calling and even like what to say, it doesn't matter how good you are in real estate. No one has ever been able to figure out how to go from here to here just off the phone. So I discovered that was a big thing for me. Put all the pressure of what am I supposed to say? Have my nerves. I'm just trying to move this conversation to the next phase of the process. That's it. Pick up the phone, talk to somebody, it's simply just tell somebody real estate. With the phone in the person. Process is not designed for that. So trying to build the entire process is going to take probably some unwarranted, undeserved pressure. We kind of give ourselves and say, this is going to be the one I make close. No, I just call people, talk about what I know, see who's at this point ready to. So double clicking back now to the whole this idea of like nerve while calling. The best way, telling my son this, who loves playing soccer, and he's a great soccer fan. Said, Daddy, we're going to game. He's really good. Still, this Saturday, he's gonna say, "Want to win the game?" I said, "Daddy, I'm nervous." Right? I'm nervous, right? Conversation there. Zane, what you feel is very natural. Those are butterflies. And I got this from Les Brown. Anybody heard of Les Brown? Have a chance to personally train on one-on-one with him for a couple of years on the speaking piece. So he was a large part of that 250 that you heard in the personal development piece. But Les said, yep. He said, you never get the butterflies to go away, but you can teach them how to fly in formation. Okay, so here it is, the greatest speaker in the world, arguably of all time. Because look, when I still do presentations, he still gets butterflies. Now, if the greatest speaker in the world is allowed to, one, get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to give that speech and still get butterflies for it, then my butterflies are warranted, and so are ours, right? So,
you know, somewhere I heard, you know, where they said, if you're not nervous, regardless what your level of experience is, if you're not nervous, it's because you don't care.
yep, exactly. Yep.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I heard it today.
And there's a certain level of discomfort, natural discomfort that should come in the process of making a big decision, going through a big presentation. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Because what that is called growth. For my gym rats in here, what do we know about weightlifting and growing, right? You actually break the muscle down, it experiences pain, recovery time, such that it can grow back stronger, right? So those nerves, they're very natural, right? And show your reflection of caring as well, okay?
I know, I athletes, and the basketball, every single game, it didn't matter whether it was middle school, high school, college.
Yeah.
Every single game.
Yep.
As a game.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Soon as I get
Yep, because at that point, you got to that unconscious muscle memory, right? So going back to scripts, right? Same thing. Once I pick up that phone, talk to somebody, once I'm in a presentation, I'm just on autopilot. You can play, repeat, rewind. It's the same thing coming out every single time, right? Because you're kind of at that point going to your toolbox. You know how to dribble, you know how to shoot, you know how to play defense, and just let your tools go to work.
Exactly.
Right? At that point, I'm in the continuing process practice to get better tools, right? With over time experience. So things to help, overcome nerves or calling. Again, number one, just the idea that butterflies will never go away, but you can teach them how to fly in formation. That can be through the utilization of things like setting your call list the evening before, okay? The best way is to, bulletproof this idea of waking up early and going to the gym is packing your bag before you go to bed, right? That way that hurdle of getting the bag together, take it a step further. I'm gonna be going to sleep in the workout clothes, right? So all I gotta do is wake up and then bag pack and I'm fully out there. So, right, look for ways in which you can recreate that same caliber of preparation ahead of time so that if 9 a.m. is, your alarm for start lead generation, it's not, I gotta get ready, but you're already ready. You can already be ready to smile and dial. Okay?
Yeah, so remember, and after the day, when I told you that I set up my coach for the week, so I know what set I'm going to be using and who I'm talking about, setting it up in advance.
Yep.
You have to stay ready, so you don't have to get ready.
For sure. Yep. And then imagine there's some folks in here who are bold and they could they can get back to me the 5 pieces of the real estate job description. It's a good time to talk about the 5 pieces of real estate job description. Anybody familiar with that? Yep. Okay, cool. I'm gonna write them down for those who are not familiar. Process, so I think about it. So things that a real estate agent at any given time should do, could do, would do. And there's a lot of things that we're to do, right? More than just pick up a commission check. So Gary put that 100 some tasks together, but boiled down to maintaining there's only 5 things that actually get you paid. So the 5 things that you were a government worker in IT, whatever, when you get hired, they give you a job description, right? These 5 things are your job description the day you open up your real estate business. Right? So what are those 5 things?
Online source of ability where needed, lead generated, or something soon. Either later or not. I'm surprised. I'm here, I was great. Lead generation is the flipping over the cards. Generation. Lead follow-up is the fact that those 48 cards that were non-aces are things like, can you call me back next week? Can you call me back next year? Right? So the overwhelming majority of the business opportunities are to be made through the follow-up. Depending upon which almanac you're sourcing, 90% of the money is made in the follow-up, right? So 80% of the money, whatever the number is, the majority of the money we make is in the follow-up. So even going back to kind of the mindset piece, if we're looking to play this cycle out all the way through, the way the system is just designed is that the greater majority of people that we're reaching out to in the generation phase are supposed to move into follow-up. It's very rare, it's very precise kind of a occurrence is just more so great to happen when it happens, but should not be our expectation is that when the moment we call somebody is the exact moment that they're ready to do real estate business. Somehow we put that pressure that all 100 people we're going to call today are supposed to be that people and then be mad when they're not. And the reality of it is that the overwhelming majority of people are going to be people call back next week, next month, next year. Hey, can't talk, or just voicemail, and you got to keep going to it, right? So when you're looking at breaking down your schedule, you go job description. Is that actually this becomes the generation of the ACEs doing new initiations of conversations, and then time to actually do follow-up to figure out where those prior reach outs currently stand in their status. Now they're right here to raise appointments. The biggest thing that I learned with 5 years that I've been thinking I had done well was that there's a big difference what the actual definition of employment is versus what we kind of to massage a definition. Point, this is just roll the organization, which is acceptable to be wrong by kind of reports, but counts. But appointment, I like to distinguish an appointment versus and I found comfort in actually logging meetings as appointments to make me feel good. I did 4 appointments this week. Talked to 4 people. Real estate, I had 4 appointments this week. Whereas I'm going to invite everybody to adopt a greater definition of what actually earns the right to be on your scoreboard and mark it as an appointment. And now that answers that challenge of what your true appointment goals are. Because what I was naturally doing was, wait, I talked to somebody, they actually maybe did a buyer's consultation, but they want to buy in 12 months. I had an appointment. That wasn't an appointment, that was just a meeting. Okay. So the time frame that I developed from a criteria standpoint is that someone who's willing to make a buying decision about getting into the market, either to buy a house or sell a house in 4 months or less. That's just the time frame I use. You can use something different. Okay. But I added that time layer on it because it was no point in me having 4 appointments this week where people did want to do real estate in 12 months. That does nothing for my next month income. Okay. So when you start looking at your annual goals and what needs to happen for your business to achieve its goals, like having a seriousness around what constitutes an appointment, and then if it needs to be 20 appointments over the course of a year, do 20 real appointments, right? And it's okay to go on meetings. Meetings eventually lead to appointments. Say that very next step. But I'm coaching. I call these the ribeye is Spain. Right? We need to eat ribeye level for and not get full on. And that's the thing, you get full on spam and never have an appetite to go out and actually eat the quality appointments. You do these three things successfully, you're going to have trust. And working context is the official term used in that fourth slide. I like to call that administrative. And there's a administrative element and component to this business that arguably say is 66% of the business is the admin portion. Right? The 33% is actual selling. There's certainly having time blocked specifically for that. So that's how you not just, all right, it's 9 o'clock, starting to lead gen, and then 9:30, I'm peeking to my email, and that ruins the next 2 hours of my time, right? But email time is time block that happens at a certain time, right? I started training my clients, and this is from trial and error. You know, I was a typical agent at the beginning of business. The phone rang, it was the date nights, movie theaters, dinner tables, it didn't matter. My phone was ringing, it was related to business, I had to go. And after a year or two of that, that was not a successful personal life path, right? Because the people you're damaging are yourself and of course, you know, your family, people around you. So I began to gain comfort, and I had a coach to help me with this, around this idea of having standard business hours and standard business practices as well. My coach said, his name was Jayson. Jayson, your clients will treat you the way that you teach them to treat you, okay? Because who is our competitor? Our competitor is not a different brand logo or a different real estate agent in the next office or next county. Our competitor is Starbucks, Amazon, FedEx, you know, whatever car company that, you know, car manufacturer they drive, because our consumer experiences services from all those other brands, and they naturally bring their expectations and how they prefer to be serviced into what they can expect from you as a real estate agent, okay? Similarly, our customers fly flights, they hire lawyers, they go to dentist appointments, and there's no doctor, dentist, lawyer in the world that you go through and say, hey, I'm coming through tomorrow at 8 o'clock. See me. You know? So it was then that I began to say, okay, hey, you know what? My business hours are this. Right? I'll put the fifth thing up on the board, and I can pop into Gmail and show a screenshot of the exact calendar. And how I set it up is that my weekly calendar was time blocked for when I was supposed to be doing these 5 things. Now, all I need to do was those 5 things each day for some week. I was good, right? And nearly so. I never had a week. Never had a week. All 5 days of the week. Exactly. And that's 40. Mostly average student. I say that to say is that having a plan like this and following it 60 to 80% of the time is better than following 100% of nothing, 100% of the wrong thing. Right? So this is not about perfection as so much as knowing what ideal and perfection looks like, and then striving to be as close to the top there with the variance. Okay? Fifth and final is to practice groups. I'm laughing. I walked around the corner because my multiple year script partner is in this office. I was seeing she was in his office, Vishal. Vishal, yeah, we were for years, we were like clockwork rocking and rolling. And at my height of practice scripts and role play, I had a different role player script partner every day of the week, minimum 30 minutes a day, going through script practice role play with someone else. And I attribute a lot of definitely our business growth to Vishal and just the things that he was doing and just kind of our maximize the script building as well. So definitely the invitation is to find somebody. It can be in your market center, maybe it's somebody in a different market center, right? Get out to events. KW, we have a very strong region where we benefit from being rather closely connected. You're not more than an hour to any market center. So be out to, attend regional events, network, and definitely get consistent on this practice scripts and role play piece. Yes, with people here in this group, people in the market center, and then certainly there are options at the market centers as well. Yes, that's just putting in the time, knowing what to say, when to say it, but most importantly, how to say it, such that when it's come time to actually say with the client, you're not stuttering, mumbling, fumbling through it. You're actually saying it, projecting it with confidence.
And at that point, it's just flying off, and that's that autopilot, kind of talked about a little bit earlier. So that is a preparation process to help alleviate this idea of nerves when calling. And just like, I'm just letting the system run. I'm just letting the plays do what they're supposed to do. Is that fair?
Yep.
Got a question on that, or any thoughts on that? What to say? I introduced this concept earlier, the two types of people in every conversation. The person who dominates the conversation because they talk the most, and the person who controls the conversation because they ask the most questions. Okay. Every time you prospect, you have got to be operating from a lead sheet. Does anybody here not operate from a lead sheet when they prospect? And what do you use if you're not using a lead sheet? You sound out. That's just whatever you guys want to, right? Marble journal, spiral back, post-it note, dinner napkin, right? Whatever. Right. You just winging it, right? So I was maybe when Tabitha comes back and she gets back. Got time for that. Appreciate it. I was going to actually show what a lead sheet looks like. Oh,
Yeah, TV top
okay, cool. And then it's not logged in anymore. Do I need to put something in to get logged in?
Oh, you have the other computer.
Yeah. To show what an actual lead sheet looks like, I've developed a lead sheet for both buyers and sellers that now makes prospecting systematic. Okay. Acronym for a system that save you stress, time, energy, and money. Okay, so when you have a system, those things actually happen for you. Any point in your business in which you're experiencing pain, frustration, aggravation, it only reveals that you're lacking an adequate system to tackle it. Okay, that's it. So then now you go out and build it. And if something's missing, you go out and build it. So I'll get into Dropbox and actually share on the screen what that looks like. And then again,
What was your acronym for business again?
save you stress, time, energy, and money. That's the, this is, again, my Dropbox is a collection of 10 years of assets that I just put together. It just have for reference. Everybody see that? Is that okay? Zoom level? Yeah, all right. So again, I'm happy to send this in a PDF and document version so that you can have and then further manipulate if you like this format, or at least use it as a visual and go out and create whatever version is that you want for it, okay? There you go. So what is a lead sheet? It's just simply a sheet that every time you go to Chick-fil-A, you say thank you, they say my pleasure. Like, it's a system, okay? Every time that I prospect, I have a dedicated system or dedicated set of questions, dedicated set of information that I'm looking to obtain, okay? And I'll get into my script, and so it'll totally makes sense when I get to the script for initiating a prospect call. But again, remember, talk the most in the conversation, you dominate. Ask the questions in the conversation, you control it. The lead sheets will allow you to control the conversation while you get them talking, you allow them to dominate, okay? So actually, it's set this particular sheet up. It's legal size, like 8x14. So if you print on letter size paper, it may be a little tight, but nonetheless, you'll have this and be able to manipulate it. But actually, I designed this such that it becomes the one-stop shop for once somebody is an appointment to one appointment to an agreement to actually being a client of ours. all the information can be down here. Okay, so I'll kind of navigate through this lead sheet and what it is, and I'll show this. Yeah, this is the seller one. I'll show you the buyer one as well, and then again, email me if you're interested in getting copies of these files. Okay, so the top of this lead sheet is kind of for information purposes. At the very top, I've got my goal in mind, which is when is the appointment. Okay, so I got my goal in mind, and at the end of that call, of course, that is the last thing I fill out. What is the appointment? What's the appointment? In the middle is going to be your property or seller specific information. Okay, so address, name, contact information. If things on that call, like, hey, is the property owner occupied? Yes or no? Is it vacant? If it's tenant occupied, contact information for the tenant. Okay, now that's not necessarily all first call stuff, but again, reminder, I'm using this sheet to actually become the kind of manage the full lifestyle cycle of a client or in a relationship. So really the pre-qualifying piece happens here in this next section. There we go. All right, such that the way that I start out a conversation in the process, and this is of course for someone that I don't know, maybe it's a lead, because I've got leads coming in, maybe it's circle prospecting around the neighborhood, I already have a listing in, maybe it's expired withdrawals, whatever it is, you gotta master the first 5 seconds of the call. Sales call, right? We get them, I pick them up because I try to learn new scripts. I mean, I can't know everything, right? So I always want to hear like, what are other people saying now that I potentially use it? But we know that again, if we don't win the first 5 seconds of the call, then good luck trying to get some success from there. So I personally developed this intro and thank you, I'm inviting everyone here to be able to take it. And I'll go background how I got there. But if I'm calling an expired listing, I start to see the ring of this. It says, good afternoon. This is Jayson Stone calling from Keller Williams, and the reason I'm calling is because I'm the best real estate agent in town, and I understand that you have a dream and a goal to sell your house. Is that correct? My first 5 seconds of the call, right? Now that was a mouthful, but I imagine there's 2 things that that you really took away from that. Anybody want to offer up what either one of those things may have been? Okay, so those are 2 things. Yeah. So and they constantly said, right? So best real estate agent in town. You heard that. You might not even remember my name after I said that. You might not even remember the company. You definitely remember best real estate agent in town, and you remember dreams and goals. Okay, again, calling us expired or for sale by owner, kind of thing. And then yes, Andrew. No, so I'm glad that you brought that up because guess what? I developed that script first year in business. And for 2 months at it, never used it for concern of the whole best agent now, right? Well, that on whose radar, on whose opinion, all right? One of my favorite books is by James Allen, it's As a Man Thinketh. And in that book, James Allen writes, as a man thinketh, so he is. As he continues to think, so he remains. Why do I say I'm the best real estate agent in town? Just because I think so. And if I don't think so, then no one else will ever have an opportunity to have the opportunity to think that as well, right? So that's the
like I heard that today too. I've been thinking I'm like, so there was somebody who called themselves the best football player, the best basketball player, and he really wasn't. And yet he said, if I don't tell myself that,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was all that was rooted into. Was I Bob Lucido and sold the most home in the state? Absolutely. Right. But by what measure of a best? Can I be best service? Best whatever. There's all these little subcategories of best, and that's non-debatable. So it's funny because the reason why I struggled for 2 months and not using that script is because I did not have a response to someone who's going to ask me, well, what makes you the best? Why are we the best? What if somebody was going to question me at 23 years old and being the best real estate agent in town, right? I told you, they didn't have stable housing, right? So how's that going to work? And I came up with the James Allen piece. I said, great. Somebody asked me that question, what makes you the best real estate agent in town? What are you going to say? But I'll share with you my response. You know how many people have ever asked me, why are you the best real estate agent in town?
None.
Not one person. Not one person has cross-qualified, asked to that, but they heard it, right? So that's a takeaway, right? So first 5 seconds of the call, you want to be able to do things like earn, gain rapport, instill trust, right? That takeaway. And then I specifically ended that statement with what's called a tie down. And so for those familiar with the language of sales, NLP stuff, I asked a question that I knew the answer to. Is that correct? Understand you have a dream, goals to sell your house. Is that correct? Okay. In 5 seconds, I made you say yes. You say yes, that's already step one into being in rapport with each other. Okay, versus moving away from each other and not being in rapport. And so definitely, whether you use that exact script or not in your prospecting, you can take away some of the elements of say, hey, how can you win the first 5 seconds of the call that you're making? What can you say that would add value to that person such that they'll remember it? And then how can you end it in a tie down format towards your contact? You're asking a question that you already know what the answer is going to be and get them affirming the idea that this is a valuable call. Okay. Somebody would have called me and say, hey, I know that you got a son of us playing soccer and we got a club trials coming up this week. Would you be interested? Heck yeah, let's go. We're going to one tomorrow and one on Monday. Right now, I didn't get called for those. I didn't find those. But again, it's that from structuring this idea that matching that first 5 seconds, like how can you create a larger predictability of the results that you want to get? Okay. So we're 5 seconds on the phone prospecting call. I gave you my intro. You know what their response is going to be. Yes. Here's my following response. Oh, Kim, thanks so much. I appreciate that. I firmly believe that the correlation in which I can be of help and service to you is directly related to how much I actually know that what's going on. Give a couple of minutes. We can go through a couple of questions, and that way I can figure out how I can best help. They say yes, guess what I'm doing? Reading. I'm reading at that point. Reading questions. Well, great. And I typically like to start for a seller already. Do this. Wanted it sequential. Kind of I put that right at the top, but I typically just like to go again, context. I'm going to talk with them, dominate the conversation. Okay, can you tell me a little bit about your house? Now, sometimes I get to shut up for like 3 minutes because what seller doesn't want to talk about their house? Right? So, and I'm just listening. I'm just listening. I'm jotting things down. Also, a cool thing I learned in this piece as well is that, particularly in working with sell by owners and expireds, is that the things that they start telling you about are where they are placing value or expecting to receive the most kind of bang for their buck. Somebody tells you they just put 10 grand new siding and $25,000 of ceiling fans. They're bragging about that and have a belief that they should be compensated on the back end and sell their house. And we know that that's just not how it works. Nobody cares about that. Okay. So I like to particularly start telling a little bit about your house and then kind of start working my way sequentially from down here. Well, hey, Kim, are you moving? Where are you moving to? Why is that important to you? Sometimes moving left to right. How soon do you need to be there? Well, what happens if the house doesn't sell? Have any idea how much homes are selling for in your area? Yes or no? They're relying on. And then your thoughts on what your house is worth. That space down here, typically I'm feeling tired, which is what the estimate is. I get an idea there. Scale of 1 to 10, we qualify the urgency, with 10 being extremely urgent. How motivated are you to sell your house? Okay. Now, what is the purpose of being on this phone at this stage? I'm the agent. Why am I making this phone call? That's it. Is it to get the closing? No. I just want to set an appointment. So I say that to say, I want to make sure that I'm not talking myself out of an appointment. Okay? There's about 28 questions configured in this middle box here. Okay. 8 times out of 10, I'm not. Getting in rhythm with the person on the other side of the phone with to the point where I can hear, I can close them. I think it's time. Okay. With the understanding that the information that I don't get in call number one, I'm going to get in call number two when I confirm that we're actually going to have the appointment. I had enough of going to the house, 30-minute drive, nobody's home, something happened. I said, no, at that point, I'm not going on any more appointments until it's been confirmed. Okay, so if today's Wednesday, Kim and I set an appointment for Friday, Thursday, day before, I'm reaching out to confirm we're still good for our meeting time. And now this is my opportunity to ask any questions that I didn't have a chance to ask. Hey, Kim, I'm putting the final touches on what we're going to be going through when we meet. I just got a couple more questions. Can we go over that right now? They just save that time for when I get there. Sure, Jason, what else you got? Now I'm asking them, kind of fill in the rest of the questions, okay? The close, which is important, that I put on this, and you can close however you want. This piece here, like that, point to it, right? What are the top three things you're looking for in a real estate agent to choose to sell here? Now, I mean, I'd say there's 100 reasons why somebody want to list with me, but for any given seller, only top three that matter. Okay, so I want to hear the top three that matter, because guess what? That's what I need to be focusing on. If they don't care about negotiation, I don't come in there puffing this idea that a beast negotiator. They don't care about it. Okay, so I get the top three, and then in my closing piece, like here, this line here, if we show you this is, we show you how we are. Now insert the top three that they just gave you. We show you how we've got a beast marketing plan, great communicators, and have a proven track record. Are you ready to list your house when we get together? Right? Are you ready to hire us and put your home on the market? Okay. Another thing I like to add at that stage as well is that if you feel comfortable and confident that we're the right people to sell your house, we're ready to list. That's the trial close. Okay. So that answer is no. You have issues. You ready to go on a meeting? Exactly. You ready to go on a meeting? Hold up. I just said if you feel comfortable and confident, we can get your house sold. You wouldn't list with me? What's the issue? Oh, we got to meet with other agents or think about for some. All right, great. Let me get all those objections ahead of the time so I can be, ready for them versus when I get there, think like, oh man, I just crushed it. I did well in this listing agreement, and then now that stuff comes up. Right now, that's when I'm operating behind the 8 ball. So
And then these people, actually tell you that's your life.
for sure. Two more things on here, then I'll open up to some questions. Thinking the piece here and kind of closes, and this is where I imagine that I won't be surprised if 90+% of our rooms doesn't have this, but great. We'll be sending over a copy of our seller's guide. Anybody here who has a seller's guide? Oh. I just gave language of seller's guide packet. Internally, we call that pre-listing. Right? So absolutely got to have a pre-listing packet. Okay, talking to a potential client, don't say pre-listing packet. Could, but I prefer not to. It's seller's guide, right? I'd overnight it to their address, $4 to do it, typically, so that they could get acquainted with who we are and how we operate it before we get there. That was the propaganda to do all the selling of our services to them, so that when I got there, I didn't have to sell myself with the team. I'm selling the idea of being the one for them. Right? So you got a question about marketing plan, it's in there. Right? So great. We send a copy over the seller guide to tell you about our team and our marketing plan. Can you promise me that you're gonna look at that before we do? It was hardbound book. My graphic design sister made all the pages. I told her what I wanted and 25-page full color piece. If y'all want that, I'll send that. I'll send you a copy of our previous presentation. And that way, copy still revolved, duplicated, but an asset number one, if you do not have it to aid in your seller prospect, you gotta have this. Okay. That way, when I get there, we can focus on what's most important, right? You and your home. Okay. I think we look forward to seeing you Friday at 10 o'clock. So that's the pre-qual kind of conversation in that lead generate, lead follow-up phase that takes this idea, well, what should I be saying? I only had to memorize 2 lines. First 5-second piece, and then the second piece that came after they said yes, which is I firmly believe the way in which I can be of best service to you is directly related to how much I know this going on. I go through a couple questions. Then all the questions are right here. Now I'm guiding the conversation, I'm controlling the conversation, while they dominate the conversation. Just continue moving to report. I'm just listening. So my favorite way to close and what it looks like, very simple. Tim, great. It sounds like the next natural thing for us to do is go and set up a 20 meeting. No pressure. It's just talk for 3 minutes or 5 or 10 or 2 or whatever it is. You know what? I think you'd agree naturally. It just makes sense. We just go ahead and set up a time to meet. Right? It works. It works for me. Right? Again, however you want to close is like a list of 10 different styles of closing. Certainly what helps you right after saying something like that, and like, great, yeah, let's meet, is having the time frame in which to meet already pre-planned. Okay, so in your calendar is when you're going to go on appointments. Okay. Until I did that, every time somebody said they could meet, it was like a time that I couldn't meet or shouldn't meet. And now I'm going against, conflict or friction is holiday, or supposed to be on dinner that day, or like I should be done work that day by the time, and now you're like stuck in between. You can avoid all of that. You start running your business just like every doctor works on the world. Hey, I got this and I got that. Which one works best for you? All right. If there's a circumstance that, for whatever reason, you can't do either one, then what that language looks like and sounds like, it's simply, okay, great. I had to get to the point, I could not work weekends. Couldn't do it. Like, life didn't support that. It did, I wouldn't have the family. So I say, you know what? I am seeing, never happens, but I am seeing a block that we can take advantage of this weekend for a one-time opportunity. And I extend that to you, right? So that way it's not like setting the expectation that this is a thing, but at least initially we won't let the fact that won't be the reason why we can't get started. Then you go back to your family and say, hey, this is a one-off, so yeah, that's the seller prospecting piece. So I've got the exact same thing on the buyer side, looks the exact same thing, set up the top the same way. It's just that middle is a little bit different. Okay, things like, hey, are you renting now or do you own? If you're renting, when the lease is up. If you're home, you can sell your house before you buy your next home. My favorite one to ask about the one is so all right, great. Well, then what have you already done on the financing? Right? And so that kind of being an introduction to say, hey, really, it's step 1A and 1B working all at the same time. Finding a realtor, working on that process, all while making sure that you're working towards pre-approval and have that done. That's what really gets us to looking for houses. Okay. Find out if they've already been, pre-approved by a lender, see if they've already viewed any properties. That kind of test case, are you work with an agent, are you sending houses, that kind of a thing. Maybe they have some interested IDs they're already seeing, and they kind of get this over. Hey, it's not, this is in 2014. Yeah, 2014, the throwback. Yeah, throwback. I still type that in sometimes. Instead of right. Yeah. Yep. And then preferred location, probably knows all things from that. For those who are familiar with DISC, DISC, I've got profiles kind of here at the bottom. That way, working with the client to kind of already assess their natural behavior profile, and that way, share how I interact with them. Anybody here not familiar with DISC, DISC? Very easy to look up, so again, we won't spend too much time there. But essentially, it's rooted in the understanding that all of us have a dominant behavior type.
And really good with the name of it, surrounded by idiots.
Okay. Well, I hadn't heard that one, so you check that out. That's surrounded by idiots. Where the D stands for like driver, right? These are people that like, and you talking to them, get to the point, land the plane. Don't sit here and drive around the block. They don't care about the numbers and depth of how you calculated the formula of that. Get to the point. Okay, these more curt, more short-driven people. The I is your more influential kind of behavioral type. These are also known as like the life of the party, highly sociable, social butterfly folk as well. And if you say they have a stage and press and play. They kind of take over as well. So the S for your steady, on your steady, your even kill, something crazy like 75 or 80% of the population is this S piece. You understand they prefer things like security, consistency, right? Not a bunch of risk, these mostly risk adverse people. Okay, and then the C is for your more calculated, you're really organized, your nerds. I'm a C. You know, depth into the numbers, wanting to see how you got to that listing price. You give them a CMA, they're gonna look at every page, they're gonna sleep with it. Yep, exactly. The D, don't give them the CMA, you know. Yeah, exactly. So, and then there's your natural, then there's your adapted as well. And then many times that there can be more than one dominant trait. So it's just kind of how you naturally show up, and then how will you, you know, adapt? How could you adapt, you know, kind of a short-term basis? It's not how you ever be, but hey, you know, the right party, you may turn into an I, you know, so. Influential, yep, it's kind of.
I know either.
Yep. Put him in a room and press play.
Exactly.
Yep. I want to pop something else on the screen that just came to mind. While we're on this subject and in the realm of talking about scripts and what to say. Anyone in here not taking Ignite? Okay, cool. I encourage if there's an opportunity to take Ignite, that you do so. Ignite is phenomenal. It was the first class that I took. Fortunately, I joined in October 2011, officially as an agent. And starting like the following week. Like I did Ignite before Bowl, but in Ignite, there's this buyer consultation questionnaire, which I got on the screen here. You can tell how old this was. That was the logo before the logo.
Yeah.
You know, this logo been out for a while, so that was the old school logo. Yep. Yeah, I think this is 2014 doc, 2011 doc.
Yeah.
Right.
We had that.
Yep. So this is a buyer consultation questionnaire, 3-page questionnaire. I'm happy to send this again, send an email and I'll get that out to you. But I can't overstress enough the importance of working from a preset agenda, right? That's what the lead sheets were. That gives you confidence in making your prospecting calls. You confidence in doing the same thing over and over again, okay? This buyer's consultation questionnaire is an opportunity to do the exact same thing in the buyer's console, okay? There's not been a buyer ever that I work with that I did not, one, of course, hold the meeting with before we started going out and do houses. And then number two, didn't go through these 3 pages. Okay? Even when my wife and I were buying a house, I hit her with these three sheets of questions. But it goes over things, lifestyle, who's living in the home, anyone spending more than an occasional overnight stay, describe your lifestyle, you have pets, anything you accommodate a large furniture, go through location, the house in general, interior and exterior, all the way down to bid, baths, like one of my favorite questions. You know, kind of gets into here in general, what are your likes and dislikes for the interior home? That's when my things start to bubble up. Love gas, hate gas cooking, love carpet, hate carpet, right? Last thing you want to do is do all this stuff, get to a house that works.
Is this one that? Those are my 2 favorite questions.
In my buyer's guide, I have a different kind of pie chart and kind of separating kind of wants and needs. But in a way, some of these questions do kind of get that, you know, likes and dislikes, you know, particularly at least for the interior, but definitely, I feel like this is a great segue into now my next script in the process when we're actually looking at property. How do you close someone at a property? I feel like if we go out and see a house and they don't want it, then I firmly believe there's something that could have been done to even avoid seeing that house. But it wasn't a waste of time. But going through a detailed questionnaire like this takes you from showing 100 properties to ideally 5 or less. Okay, and in the consultation, I'm preparing the client for this. Hey, because we do so much due diligence up front and identifying what is it we're looking for, go through, basically start with a blank canvas and start coloring things in. I should be able to take you to the exact house that you want, first time you want to write it on. If not, first 2 or 3. So many of my clients, they're ready to write off this after seeing 1 to 3 properties. So I wasn't just making that up, it actually became true. And again, doesn't take 100 houses. I'd rather you look at 100 houses on the MLS and us debate about them and then as opposed to looking at 100 in person and then number 101 being whatever would have been 101, let me just take you to that one first, kind of thing. So funny story here is that I did make a mistake one time. Client was adamant on this console. They wanted a finished basement. All right, made a mistake. I saw the house in Fort Washington. I don't think I necessarily made a mistake because I'm pretty sure the search included finished basements or that kind of thing. It was put to the MLS wrong, right? So they ended up buying that house because they didn't have a finished basement, but they still ended up loving the house so much that they were able to overlook that. So is this 100% proof? Hey, does this lock them into the idea? Hey, if they say it here, they can't get it there? No. But this idea of, again, the task that you're basically being hired to do is this idea of looking at houses through their eyes, through their lens of what it is they're looking for. You're their proxy, right? They got full-time jobs, responsibilities. You should be curating a process that makes efficient use of their time. As a result, your time as well. Okay, so I use this sheet specifically. Hey, how do I take on work with 10 buyers? How do I take on the mindset of the lens of all 10 of those people, respectively, such that when we're evaluating property, I'm able to evaluate it like I'm done. They kind of on their behalf. Any questions, buyer questionnaire related? Last piece here before I get into now showing property. This becomes the piece later on when they're like, hey, I want to go see this house. You look at it and you're like, anybody, client said they want to go see a house and you're like, I know that that's not it. I know that we're wasting our time going to go see that one, right? Well, having the questionnaire, having this done in your consultation helps save you that. You get to use language like, hey, well, help me understand what's changed. When we met last month, you told me your ideal location was this. Now you want to go out and do that. Or you told me that you didn't want carpet in the bedrooms. This house has carpet in the bedroom. What's changed? The last thing I want to do is go there and get the property and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want carpet. I don't want it because it's carpet. Well, we knew it didn't have carpet before we got here. Or it had carpet before we got there, you didn't want that. So definitely from a utilization standpoint, this helps you, one, find the house quicker, and 2, save you from showing properties that you shouldn't be showing in the first place. Okay. I've always maintained that while I've sold hundreds of real estate, I still say I've never actually sold a house a day in my life. Because I don't believe anyone has the ability to sell something to somebody that they don't already want. Okay. I view working with the buyer on the standpoint of facilitating a process that allows the buyer to self-discover that the house they're standing in, is the house that's meant for them, that they want to take action. Okay. And the way that I do that is by utilizing the following script for feedback. Okay. So in the buyer's console, I say, hey, when we go out and take a look at a house, feedback is going to be totally important. So I've created a kind of a weird scale, but work with me here. Okay, before we leave every house, we're going to assign every house a number. Okay, and it ranges from 1 to 7, with 1 being the absolute worst house in the world, 7 being the absolute perfect house that you're looking for. And you can't select a number 4. Okay, and we've already alleviated this idea that perfection doesn't really exist. No such thing as a perfect house. Because even if you had unlimited capital, you're still bound by resources and just concepts. So, kind of taking away this idea that we're gung-ho looking for a 7, but hey, we get a 7, we won't be mad. What else have I done? Say you can't choose a number 4. So kind of takes away that middle ground. First off, I got off of the base 5 or base 10 system. Anybody do a survey and just 7, 7, 7, 7, just give it a bunch of 7s, right? That doesn't tell you anything. And so I go 1 to 7, 7 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. Can't choose a number 4. Got to pick a number. Okay, on either side of the half court line. Well, because of the due diligence, I've never shown 1, 2s, and 3s. Never. Well, if I get under a 4, that means we shouldn't have been in that property in the first place. Okay. So as a result, stuff already starts ringing in 5, 5.5, 6, 6 1/4. Right. Then the mind starts to work to say, I'm pretty close to perfect. Right. I am getting 80+% of what it is that I'm looking for, with that other 10, 15, 20% that I don't get at the time of purchasing is either a 10, 15, 20% that I can change down the line after owning it, or it's a 10, 20% that I'm fine not having, but guess what? I got 80% of what I'm looking for. Okay, so I've used that as an effective script to, one, help people self-discover that the house that we're in right now is the one that they want to go ahead and write the offer in on. I mean, they just overall show fewer homes because we get paid when we sell a home, not when we open it. Exactly. There you go. There you go. So that feedback script, set that expectation in the console. Do it at every house, and it gets to be fun. You know, whether it's just one client or multiple. You know, a couple buying a property. Why'd you give it a 5 and another person gave it a 6? I'm like, hey, y'all gotta go home with each other. Don't, you know, not me. Don't get mad at me. So, yeah, that's what's pretty much fun there. Any comments, thoughts, feedback, questions, anything? I know we kind of went down, started with a kind of a seller lead sheet piece, kind of pivoted to the buyer lead sheet, and then kind of, you know, what to say to a buyer throughout that buying process. But any questions there?
Jayson, you can share these with us.
Yeah, yep. So again, I know I've said, hey, just send me an email multiple times, so you don't have to send me multiple emails. I'll just know that whatever we covered, you'll get everything. All right, so we got lead sheets coming through, but the buyer consults coming through as well. So that'll be good to go. Is there anything else in this box of tricks? Anything else on what to say? Any-
Today, the non-issue when you do the fit item in your job description.
Yeah, that gets into discovery, and then by naturally you get more comfortable into it, right? And just please treat this process like any other thing in your life. Learn how to tie your shoe, ride a bike, drive. I've always maintained the first time I did all those things, worst time I've ever done. I think that my first year in real estate will absolutely forever be my worst year. It's just what it is. Because I know that there will be growth. I know there will be improvement. We embrace that growth, the 3 F's: fail fast, and fail fast forward, right? So learn from it, grow from it. Adversity teaches us things that success never will, success never can, right? So embrace whatever struggle, challenge, rejection that you get, because now you have a chance to learn from it. Winning, you just win. I won't say that winning is boring, but you just don't learn from wins the same way that you learn from, you know, adversity. So, that's that there. Picking up the phone. I remember my first time using a dialer. $999 dialer from Mojo. Told this is the best thing for prospecting. Go out there, get $999 dialer. Boop, I do exactly what I do, put my list in, click triple line. I feel like in under a half of a second, I was connected with somebody. I instantly hung up the phone. They said hello. I hung up. I'm like, oh, that was too fast to be connected to somebody, you know. So I was like, oh wow, this is intense. Okay, so whether you're using a single line dialer, double or triple line dialer, definitely from a improving prospecting efficiency standpoint, a dialer is going to increase your amount of contacts or calls you can make in a given time period. Okay, and then yes, service kind of some accountability pieces that thing is going to keep you on the phone. But you're not gonna have a chance to check email or think about what you know, now leave the garage door open or, you know, kind of a thing. Yep. So take a triple. So what we'll do a single line dialer first. Single line dialer. So say you have a list of 20 names, okay, 20 contacts. You put into that and say, hey, I want to call these 20 contacts. Well, what it does is that through your computer, it will, it will automatically begin dialing contact number one. Ring, 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 ring. They pick up. Nope. Press a button to drop a voicemail, so you don't have to actually wait to go. You called, blah, 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 and then know what to say. Press your drop voicemail button, okay? And then there's no hanging up of the phone. This phone here, make a call, I hang up, I have to go back through and who's the next person calling? It instantly starts dialing the second person. And that's the single line dial.
To take it out of command.
It's taken out of whatever service. Yeah, yeah. So dialers have their own contact list. Sometimes, of course, there are dialers that will integrate directly with the CRM.
So you have to enter the.
Well, you can import, so you know how you import your contacts into command, you can import them into your dial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, a triple line dialer, different what triple is that it calls three numbers at the same time.
So yeah, actually, this is, yeah, so I had a single number. I had a single number. So I know how single number works. I've been hesitant, well, I was hesitant to move to a triple. Because my question has always been, and I guess it probably doesn't happen as often as I'm on it. What happens when two people enter the same number or three?
Well,
At the same time?
so it is rare that at the exact same moment, more than one person actually at the same time.
Another question, does it stop dialing when someone is?
No, well, it doesn't dial any more new ones, okay? So here's what happens, triple line dialer. Call three people at the same time. Somebody's going to be first. Now, if it's a three-way tie, whatever, somebody's going to be the one person you're connected with, okay? All while the other two can hear a pre-recorded message. Okay, so if I call three people, I'm talking to.
I get those are the ones I hang up on, yeah, I'm gonna wait for them.
So it's connecting with the first person, whoever picks up, right? The other two, should they pick up, they get a pre-recorded message. Now, my pre-recorded message was essentially kind of faking the idea that I can't hear you, I'll call you right back.
Oh, that's so smart.
Hey, yeah, I'm here. It's kind of hard hearing you. I'm gonna tell you what, I'll hang up and I'll call you right back.
That's smart, yeah, 'cause that was always my concern with AAA. What happens if most people answer?
Yep, and then certainly should person B answer, you'll be notified in the dialer, and so call them right back. Okay, so I'm just Jason with a Y. Yep. So yeah, I mean, pick up the phone. It's interesting because there's 100 ways to earn a lead, set an appointment, you know, and which one's the best one? All of them work if you work it, right? So I coach and train to an agent strength. Someone is just naturally phone adverse. Let's look for other options there. You know, there's social. I love the idea that social media, particularly things like stories, so that could be like Instagram stories, Facebook stuff, it shows you who sees the stuff, right? So what's your follow-up piece is that what if every video that you put out, every post you put out, and you start tracking who's looking at your stuff? Not every time somebody looks at it are you following up and say, okay, hey, who are my reoccurring viewers of my content, right? Let me, promote a, grow a relationship with them. And then you start tracking that and then you start noticing, well, hey, who's new here? And oh, wow, this person's new. I don't think I've ever seen them before. Let me welcome them to my content, write some DMs. Can you, introduce your services? Can you get their contact information? Can you set up a call with them, right? So it doesn't actually have to always be pick up the phone first. Like if social media wants to be your thing, great, let that be your thing. Or somebody say door knocking, like, let's say door knocking be your thing. Open houses are fantastic for finding listings. That could be a mind shift for some folk. Thinking that, classically trained open houses are great to get buyers, right? When you're doing an open house, that is the #1 way to gain instant credibility with the neighbors. Okay? Because very little do people understand this idea of real estate being done at the brokerage level. The broker has it, so brokerage has 600 agents. All 600 kind of work for that. They just see names, right? So it doesn't have to be your listing for them to think that you are the people representing that sale, right? Or at least have been given the trust and belief in that their neighbor has trusted you with the open house, and then as a result, residually probably the sale of the house, okay? So one of my favorite cycles in kind of getting this idea of an open house strategy to grow a business is having the open house picked out by, say, like Monday for the weekend. Not it's Friday night, let me figure out what I'm holding open on Saturday, you know, or this weekend, Sunday. Is having that picked out earlier in the week so that you can market the open house to the people that it makes sense to. Yes, you can make phone calls to the door, 100 doors to the left, 100 doors to the right. Yes, you can door knock and prepare to, you know, have door hangers out. You know, invite neighbors to the neighbors only hour of the open house. Like doing those types of things help increase the idea that, oh, wow, when they come to open house or not, they see that you hold an open house and they get your flyer, they hear your voicemail or, you know, get your whatever. Like that's a drop in the bank account or a credit to say, okay, hey, this person is probably a local real estate expert that when I need real estate, it could probably help me. Okay, so yeah, I love the idea of holding open houses for the purposes of getting listings, not just finding buyers that have secured, you know, realtors at that point. Okay, so yeah, I mean, something's got to be done to grow business. Although I've had deals fall out of the sky, and you know, like, oh, where did this come from? Somebody's thought, and now you're here. Great, that's cool. But probably for the goals that each of us have in this room, it's going to retire. It's going to require some form of an external effort or application of ourselves, phone, beat, digital, something to curate, you know, lots of traffic. Anything else on the picking up the phone piece that we kind of want to go through? Father, oh, I have a great friend there. Okay, so, okay. Tyler, great, Tyler. Tyler, who is your best friend in the world? Danielle. Cool. What does Danielle do? Okay, cool. This will be a fun one. Okay, but Danielle works at Apple. She sales, HR, or she's a genius. All right, I've got too many Apple products to not know what a genius is, but I guess she gives the demonstrations of the. She fixes them. All right, cool. Cool. Okay. All right, so imagine that Danielle gives you a call and she says, hey, Tyler, you know what I do? For genius, right? And right now for this month, we are setting aside a 1-for-1 program. And so for every device that we get to, repair, replace, what have you, we're going to gift a brand new device to a local charity, okay, for children. Okay. Couple of things. Number one, we're looking for people who have devices that don't have full functionality right now, or even accepting contributions. Folks actually just want to make direct donation to the charity, help put more tech-related resources in the local charity. Does anyone come to mind that may be a good device for us to fix? Okay, great. And just by chance, would you be interested in addition to the iPhones, making any monetary contribution? Okay, cool. Great, thank you. Then we hang up, and what does Danielle have? She's got a couple devices to fix, and that way some new phones go to the charity and more bucks for the cause, right? So I'm curious how that conversation feels for you as being the recipient from Danielle. How does that feel for you?
It was okay because I mean, she was friend, she does, and explaining to me what their company is doing, naturally, like people like charities, like they're gonna donate, they don't want to know that's going for a good cause, and then that cause they're regulated to the company, like that they're giving, it's like people kind of like talk to the sheep. It's like, don't get rid of that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, bingo. So, you nailed a couple of kind of takeaways from that conversation, and we were role playing our mock conversation, but that combo we just role played with Tyler and Danielle can happen for all of us, right? Multiple times over. There was familiarity with the person she was talking to, right? That kind of already created a sense of security, okay? There was an explanation of what was going on. A cause, this just happened to be charity with tech, right? But some just cause was present to it, okay? And probably outside of the direct question of, do you want to make a monetary contribution? Does that feel salesy? Do you feel like being sold to, pressured, annoying? Was Tyler or Daniel begging? Just having-
Like, oh, like I have an option. And if they're going to and do it.
It was an offer,
Yeah.
right? You just extended an invitation to be a part of something. And either you were or you wasn't, right? But that wasn't begging for things, right? So kind of the translation, can we give Tyler a round of applause? The piece that I want to take away there is, how can you similarly structure your reach, particularly with friends, right? Talking to people, such that it's not a bother or a beg, but it actually is a service, okay? Everybody we're not selling knives or vacuum, or, may not need a knife or, may not have carpet, right? We sell clothing. So you guarantee everybody needs it, not just that, but everybody knows somebody that needs it, okay? So as a result, like, how can you position your offering as that of a valued service that just simply invites people to want to be a part of? You know somebody, you got any referrals? What about your own opportunity? That makes sense? You think, Tyler, yeah, okay.
So with that, I guess it was like, she would feel more comfortable.
Correct,
Say it's like something.
correct,
You kind of go to school and see it.
correct. Yep, so, and which is great, because also in that takeaway, right, third thing takeaway is that, Tyler, I'm sure you leave that conversation with a little bit of, hi, Danielle, you kind of owe me now, like there's a little bit of quid pro quo going on as well. Okay, so anywhere that there's an existing relationship, there typically is a natural reaction to want to help, unless you're just a terrible person. While there are terrible people in the world, I know that that's none of us in the room here. Okay, so regardless of if it's a best friend or someone you may not have talked into a while, as long as whatever that connection or memory is, there probably is still going to be a level of connection. Is it as strong as a best friend that we text and talk multiple times a day throughout the week? No, but there's still likely to be a measure of desire to still be of help or service. Okay, maybe it's past work colleagues, past schooling, or what have you. Family haven't talked in a while. Like, what I found is that the most challenging battle in the world is the battle of the critical 6 inches. And that's the distance between your left ear and your right ear and what goes on in here, right? Is that we typically will place outcomes to conversations that haven't had yet. And my first coach, Jayson, who kind of highlighted this, said, who are you to play fortune teller on a conversation that hasn't been had yet? Call somebody and talk to them and like, hey man, where you been? You ain't do that. Past client, you sold out 5 years ago and you talked to client, all that. That's that battle of critical 6 inches when we're starting to psych ourselves out of action scenarios or worst case scenarios that actually never have a clue. That was when I shared the example of why I didn't use that script in the beginning. I was scared somebody was going to ask me, why are you the best agent in town? No one ever asked me that. So why was I letting that, prevent the whole idea? So there you go. 100%. So make the call anyway. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. Place emphasis on the service that you're providing, and knowing that it's not one call, one transaction is going to put us on that beach or that we want to be on, but it's a collection of those that ultimately, building that business to fund the perfect life for it to come. Yep.
So how do you find
Like overthinking, overplaying as well. Like when is it kind of loss of return on the piece, like kind of ready, aim, you got fired eventually, right? So, I mean, really that difference comes into that willingness to take action, and actually firing things. Knowing that, imperfect action beats inaction every day of the week. So, like, kind of subscribing to this idea, like, it's okay to not do it 100% perfect. It's okay to do it incorrect. We're all human. I think if there's any like good things that came out of the pandemic, I think it kind of humanized a lot of things. Like, there's a side that we have to have that, if we're in a meeting and have a kid run through the background of the Zoom, right? And you be watching CNN and kids just jamming off in the background. So, so it's like like all of these things that kind of like, and we kind of psych ourselves up, or they certainly need to be again. Remember, I got licensed at 22 years old. I thought that I had to be older than I was. I thought that I had to increase my level of just the whole thing in order for, what typically was at that time an older client for me, in order to want to work with me. Like, that was just a made up story, right? Fear, false evidence appearing real, that has nothing to do with what's actually going on. So, definitely spend time preparing, but don't do so much so that it prevents you from actually taking action.
I feel like if you're gonna do measures, like,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
those-
100%.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. So like let kickoff or tip off or first pitch be just that. Okay. I just gave you 3 sports that the time that game is supposed to start, the time that game is supposed to start. Okay. Regardless of what team they have practiced, the plays they know, the level of awareness, but they've done what they could do up until that point. Outcome, the game time is going to come. The outcome will be had win or loss. Okay. If it's a loss, learn from it, assess, and go be better at the next tip off. Yep. Encounter a response that you're unfamiliar with, and kind of that same breath of note. I mean, no one knows everything. It's just impossible to know everything. Okay. So it's okay to not know everything. Number one, appreciate it for the learning lesson, because how is it that I know what it is that I know? It's because at some point I didn't know, and I had to go out and learn it, or got introduced to it. So every opportunity is that to be able to learn and grow on it.
So, I guess it's about to, there are some people who say that they think that that's going to make them even negative. What I tell people all the time is people respect your honesty.
Yep.
As long as you say, no question. I mean,
For sure. And you can sew that up with things like, hey, you know what? I have a great answer for that. I mean, I have an opportunity to make sure I got the best answer for that. That's just some resources I want to consult, the conversation that I want to have. I want to make sure that everything, what you can know confidently, that every answer I give you is 100%, good to go, and not 80%, not 50%. So yeah, definitely, like, it's okay to not, it's impossible. No one knows everything, any trade, skill, craft. Artificial intelligence is built to be the all-knowing. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. That's a whole other topic right there. Yeah, I'd say just embrace it. It's okay to not, know everything, but learn from it. Right? One of my favorite books, Think and Grow Rich, author Napoleon Hill, shares that every failure has in it an equivalent seed of benefit. Keyword being seed. Okay, so hey, I just got an objection that I didn't know how to overcome, and that sales call ended. Boom, that was done. Plant that seed, learn from it, and know confident that an equivalent benefit is on the way. Could you plant it, cultivate it, that kind of thing? Yeah.
They don't want to help.
For sure.
They don't.
It's a jacket down, it's not to keep digging for your.
That's right. Keep going with things. And I've always maintained, particularly with people that we know, over time, a long time since we talked to them, that because it's real estate and everybody's gonna need real estate at a certain point, like, I kind of viewed it as like saving the people that I know and actually having a level of care for them to make sure that they avoided having a weak moment, ended up with a weak agent. And now they're mad at the whole thing. It's like, man, I could help them prevent that. Right? Why are you over there running with that person that just gave you the runaround? We could have, like, so like it's kind of like an internal challenge that I went out to create and say, hey, how many people can I save from being around the person who's not going to give as much care, commitment, dedication to delivering all.
We're doing them a favor.
Indeed, indeed, yeah, yeah. How many favors, how many saves, how many gifts can I get out there? Yeah, right. We are rewarded for giving value, right? And the level of exchange that kind of reach that level of exchange or value trade is that we have to pay people first. And we pay them first with good information. That's where kind of, we're just making calls, I'll go to another script about seller calls, but giving people access to like home seller valuations, posting written or video content on social media. Like those are all ways in which we get to pay an audience first. And once we pay somebody, then we have the opportunity to return payment with their contact information, with their opportunity to earn their business. Okay. I paid the universe by creating a video. Kim returned that with, hey, reaching out, can you come in and talk to the group, right? If I did not put that payment out to the universe, I'd never have a chance to receive Kim's inquiry and be here today. Okay, but like put stuff out, be in a position to receive, and then from there, okay, great. Somebody's hit you, responding to your neighborhood video and said, they were thinking about selling. Can we set up a time to talk, right? At that point, people are now booking you for then you to get the real payday of, actually selling a house and getting the commission. So definitely look for ways in which you can pay people with the things, answering questions, with ASQ, answer specific questions that people already have, right? That's the only reason YouTube exists, is it, on the healthy side, is that it answers specific questions. Growing up, I did not know how to tie a tie. I went to college and did not know how to tie a tie. Learned how to tie a tie on YouTube. How do you tie a tie? Necktie, YouTube. Right? So what are the specific questions that the people that you're potentially going to be working with, what are they asking? And then you go out and create content that answers that. So script that popped in my head about with sellers. There's a ton of ways to kind of manipulate this, but really the tagline to add to your toolbox is, have you ever considered selling your house in this hot real estate market? And that is phone ready, door knock ready, dinner party ready, right? Have you ever considered selling your house in this hot real estate market? You hear very hot market. Oh, the market's hot. Tell me more, right? Like, what is the ways in which you can use language, use words that work? It can create a response that is favorable to what the outcome is that you're looking for. So yeah, again, that's a great circle prospecting, marketing, an open house. So if I were together, have you ever considered selling your house in this hot risk? Get some yeses, then those are people to follow up with and run through the rest of the process. What's something that we haven't talked about today that we should have? Hold on that thing. You have a specific scenario? I mean, I instantly kind of multiple things that came to mind. So. I guess the first thing that came to mind was a lead that came in, and my first time reaching out, they did not pick the phone. Right? So I get a lead, however, somebody referred somebody to me, internet lead, what have you. And I reached out and that person did not pick up the phone. Voicemail, text message, back to back. Okay. Followed by an email the following day if I have email information. Right. So call, text, no response. Next day, email going out for day 2, day 3, another phone call, voicemail if need be, text message as well. Kind of old school in the sense of, I don't know if this is thrown away, dubbed out there anymore, but 10 days of pain was an old, I think Kenny was on Facebook, I heard first heard say, but kind of having a follow-up for all measures of the process, like there's kind of 10 days of really assessing how do I get this to figure out is this good or not, right? So it's painful because it can be painful for you to do it.
Yeah.
This is painful is for them to probably receive that many touches in such a compressed amount of time.
I guess what's really- in that scenario, yes, but I'm not sure. Well, embarrassing moment.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
I forget.
Teachers, CRNs.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely, so we can't be relying on what's here. I already talked about bad quarters at 6 inches. God bless you if you have kids, spouse, hobbies, like all that stuff for that to live in the here is so difficult. So definitely, I love what's the best CRM, the one that you'll use. That's it. That's the only answer. Yep. So whichever one you're going to use, and then get into a consistency of logging things in the CRM the moment that they happen. Okay? Have a phone call, this happened, take a minute, put it to the CRM. Right, some of the best things could be ones in which you have a mobile access to it that way, because not everything happens at the desk, so you got your laptop in front of you, but something you can register in. The way I help, I set reminders, my text messages to myself are crazy. Right? So I'm just texting myself, all right, great, I'm gonna run, let me just put that in there, and I know I'll see it again eventually. Little bubbles there and gotta get the bubble off eventually, so I'll see it there. So text messages to myself or emails to myself has been a great way to kind of jot things down in the moment of, but then be able to make sure that it's properly taken care of at the appropriate time. Okay. Yeah, yep. Yep. Utilize the phone. Of course, it's goal off, 9 calendar doesn't exist. Get into the calendars. Yep.
One of my challenges is I'm really good at doing that during my legion time. It's when people return calls. I may have called them during my legion.
Yep.
Like take the notes, record anything, do all of this.
Yep.
When they call me back, typically not at my desk. I'm typically nowhere near my computer and I forget to log the call, log the notes. Yeah, it's when I want to go. But if I'm the one initiating the call, I'm prepared.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to take notes. I'm prepared to update my CRM. It's those 1 or 2 calls where they call me back later in the day and I forget to log it.
Gotcha. You pick up, you do the stuff from the mobile and then saying things from that, the actions from that call you may or may not do.
Oh, yeah, you're not doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
That. And with the app on my phone, I still forget
Yeah.
to log
Well,
the call
I get
because I'm not in, I guess I can say, like, when I'm in Legion mode, like, these are all of the things I do in Legion mode. Like, you may call me and I'm walking down the hall and we have a conversation, I hang up, then I forget to log what we just talked about.
Those random, like a few seconds.
Yeah.
And my attention, like, totally
For sure. And then
shifted, and I'm like, basically,
if you don't do it, then it don't happen right away. So and taking my own medicine.
That's where I'm telling my phone to set a reminder to return call. I mean, just logging the conversation, period, is where I am. Like, if it's an action item that I have to take after that call, that's when I'm telling my phone, set a reminder, because I know that I am going to forget probably 2 minutes from now. If I don't tell my phone, like, set a reminder to call so-and-so at 4 o'clock tomorrow.
I text. Maybe text yourself.
Yeah, maybe I'll
Yeah.
do that.
Just text myself now, lead sheets and buyer questionnaire. What does that mean? When I get back to my computer, hey, all the emails that I got, upload those and send it out to y'all, So again, and if I don't do it and right away, then I'm bowling at night, I get home, be tired, go straight to sleep and then forget about it, right? So then it's like having those little things to set reminders or, kind of break comes along the way to, help you get everything.
I guess it's just, I guess my question was more like, we feel like as CRM, specifically, like, just for, you know what I mean? Like,
So
it's just for, okay, like you call someone, they're like, oh, I'm not interested today, okay, thanks. This
Yeah.
person 12 months, this person 6, this person 3 months.
So check out things with automation. Anything with automation will do that. There are multiple CRMs that do it. My favorite in that space is CRM Pro. Just like I'll spell it out, just like it sounds, CRM, GROW. They got a lot of good ways to set up automation in a way that, you know, spend some time configuring it, but very much so like flow charty or if then and that. And of course, you still gotta move the person to the next stage or, you know, if you never tag the fact that they never pick the phone, then the next step is not gonna automatically happen. But hey, called somebody, they didn't pick up, thought they didn't pick up, automatically create a call 12 days from now, 12 months from now, whatever the scenario, however you configure it to be. But something like an automation would primarily be a tool to help, one, just save time, and then two, you know, remember, you know, things that are appropriate in them. Well, how'd we do today? Awesome. Appreciate it. Give yourselves a round of applause. Cool. Cool. Thank you, Cam. Appreciate you having me come out.
What do you guys think? Okay. On a scale of 1 to 7, we can't.
Thank you. Thank you. The record, I'll allow 4.5. Buyer, if the buyer says a 4.5, right. Just don't tell me 4. Just don't tell me 4. Right? 4.5, 4.25. Just don't tell me 4.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jason. So what, if you were to come back?
Yep.
What would you guys like to talk about? Or what is something that you would like to present?
Well, we teased us with these little art tips.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, we got definitely next time. Definitely get into Bright. The Bright stuff. Check out Smart Charts. Go to the Market tab. Click on Smart Charts. If you don't have a pro account, I invite you to consider getting one.
Most boards are now getting, I think
Yeah.
G-Card took it away.
G-Card took it away.
G-Card now gives
Yep,
it.
yep,
G-Card is
yeah,
always giving it.
Yep. So so your pro account. So check that out. It may be included in your board. If not, it's $30 a month. Actually, one of the YouTube videos that I've done, I think it's a little bit of a 5-minute video, goes into answering the number one question that all real estate agents get. How's the market? Moments you see your name tag, your shirt, tell your real estate agent, they're gonna ask you how's the real estate market. And there are 5 things that you got to know about the markets that you're serving, in order to appropriately answer that question. Okay, a person who doesn't go to Smart Charts, the way they answer that question is with, you know, a few set of words. Market's good, bad, up, down, left, right. And they're not describing the market, they're describing their business.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, my market's bad. Well, you got a settlement in 8 months, you know. Market's great. Well, you probably just did 5 this month, something like that. So to get out of those one-word answers, the best responses to those are things like, well, hey, the average sales price in this neighborhood is $450,000, right? Which is a 3% increase year compared to this time last year. In that same time frame, the average days on market have gone down from 30 days to 20 days, right? So like answering the market with that, answering that question, how's the market with those types of responses, guess what the next question is going to be if they ask you? Yeah, do you have a business card? Can you list my house? Exactly, they start booking you, right? So again, pay the market first with the knowledge, and then you're going to be rewarded for that. So couple key things in the time between now and when I'm next back, for those who want to go into the Smart Charts piece, on the 10th of the month, is when that is updated. Okay, I didn't even know it was at noon.
It's at
Okay,
noon,
cool.
yeah, it's at noon every month. The previous
Cool,
month
so-
was released.
Today is the 10th.
Oh, today, okay.
Go figure, right? So what does that mean?
Because unless there's a holiday before the 10th, it gets pushed back a day. No, I don't know.
Yeah, like right before.
That's not.
We need a new day, Maya. You know, like
Not a holiday where business is closed. We'll say that.
so.
So what that means is that April monthly stats are uploaded there. Okay, because now the last complete month will update on the 10th of the month following. Okay, so May stats will be available on June 10th, so forth. Okay, so right now in Smart Charts, you can speak to year-to-date stats through April and go through April monthly stats. Okay, so I've got the YouTube video. At Jayson A. Stone is the name of the YouTube channel. That's where I'm at on social media as well. Quickly put that on the board. That's basically just this. Yeah, at Jayson A. Stone, social, YouTube, but yeah, I got 2 videos up, and both are good videos. But specific of conversation on the market, the second video will get into what I call the 5 metrics that every realtor must know about the markets that you're serving in. And to go take it a step further is knowing those same metrics at both a micro and macroeconomic level. Okay, macroeconomic level, Howard County. Micro level, specific zip code or neighborhood, Howard County. You can speak to the fact that, hey, here's what's being done on the macro level and the micro level. That's when they start bringing referrals. Yeah, definitely the MLS stuff. I'm excited to be able to get into. Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. Yep, exactly.
I'm new with.
Yep, end of month, yep. Pull it, log it, 5 things, and now you got a month's worth of things to always put in the conversation.
You know, I also have the market stat sheet that I created on what stats to pull from Smart Charts reports.
Good to go. Thank you, for everybody for coming out. I trust it was valuable and productive, and looking for the next time that we have a chance to get together.
June?
All right. Definitely, we'll find the June date for sure. Yep. What's going on, man? How's it? How's everything? Good to see you here. Sure. Same, man. Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely fine. Yeah. How about you? Just, okay, cool. Okay. Cool. Okay, that's good. Okay. Let's, I'm actually, it's gonna be good. Space right now. Pollination. Yeah. That's what we up in some sponsor time to get together. Put those into mojo to make the call. That's what the clinic went under the decision. 2 weeks in, I literally remember 2 weeks in. And one of the things that motivated me the most was one of the of those who make it past the first year, 1% vote. Exactly. But I knew that in order to be with a small minority of those members, learning a lot, so I went to every class, all the questions. So that's what I'm doing, you know, so yeah, it's just. It's always. I'm familiar with the 4 stages of the. I mentioned. It's being new, you're at the first one. So you need to the exposure that comes that you don't know, and you do that. Talk to people who come in classes, you're in the market, big people prospect and have the conversation. You're like, I don't know that. So now you're conscious in society. That's what I'm doing. Every day I come in, I'm like, oh, okay, that's part of welcome to come in, you know, like, oh, there's that too. Yeah. And then you all do it, you kind of, how do you move into the country? Now you know what you did. Honestly, it's unconscious. That's the only I can think. You just do it. Follow that up. This is like stay with force manager. And it doesn't come down to. Yeah. And this is- think of this as a race.
And I think.
No, the whole team is there. But you don't need a livery to do the oil change. You kind of got to do the oil change with why you're driving. Exactly. And you know, grow your way to the way up. You know, so I mean, although it took me 6 months to go to for sales, I think that really the license you should be closing it on. You can't. So much. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Thank you.